Hello, I am Board Game Hubby.
And I'm Board Game Wifey.
Today we will be giving you a ranking of 50 games from 2021
That we have played.
and we'll be going through them from worst to best. And we've previously done a top 10 of our favorites, but today we'll be talking about a lot more games, 50 of them. And we've each done our ranking and then we compiled them into an aggregate combined list. And so the system will be that whoever ranked the game the highest will introduce the game and talk about what they liked about it.
And the other person will talk about dislikes and possible improvement if there are any. Towards the top, it might get difficult.
Yeah, because we usually like both of them at that point.
Yes.
We will be spending approximately 1 minute on each game, so these are not full reviews or explanations, they're just teasers. So please consider it as such. And without further ado, let's get into it. So number 50 is a game that only I've played. It is Sherwood Bandits, a Robin Hood themed game where you're trying to rob wagons. And a wagon might say 7 to 10, and you're trying to, and you're putting out like workers and you're rolling dice. And when you hit the target number and you don't know what it is between 7 to 10, then you start robbing the wagon. So if you put your worker at the end, and all the others have already rolled the target number, then you're out of there. You're not getting any points, you're not getting loot, and it's essentially a set collection game.
So what do you dislike about it?
What I don't like about it, because I like the premise. One, there isn't even a round tracker in the game. Second, it's pretty much, I feel like you could just roll a dice at the beginning of the game and determine the winner that way. It's very much a luck fest, totally random, not a lot of ways to mitigate your luck at all. So it was a disappointment for me, unfortunately. So number 50.
Number 49.
Number 49 is also a game that only I've played.
I will sit and look pretty.
Yeah, and of course you could say that these are games that we don't own, and we don't own them because we don't like them, so there's a connection that way, and I played them at my local board game club. Number 49 is Steam Watchers. It is basically Risk on steroids, maybe overselling it, but an advanced type of Risk game, a war game, area majority game, where you're putting out workers, dudes on a map, and at the beginning of each round, like you're selecting different powers that each people will have be able to activate for that round. But it's a rich get richer game and poor get poorer game. So
That
both
sucks.
times I've played it, like already one round into the game, there were just some people that we knew weren't going to win. And I finished top 2 both times, so it's not because I lost anything.
No.
I just didn't enjoy seeing some people waste 2 hours
No,
because they weren't in it.
that doesn't work. I get that.
Yeah.
Number
so
48?
Number 48 is another game that I played at the local board game club. It's called Streets. I think you might like it. I think it would definitely rank higher for you.
Is it with puzzles or animals?
There's no, actually. So maybe you
then
won't
no.
like it. Anyways, Streets is a game in which you're placing like tourist workers on streets. So you have tiles. You have 3 in hand at any given point, and you're placing a tile out, and it has a way of scoring. And you have different color workers that interact with the scoring. And once a street is complete, then you activate all the streets that you have like a special token on.
It does sound cool. Why do you not like it?
It's just like too simple. There's not a lot of meaty choices in the game. I will say I haven't played with the Kickstarter expansions that I know whoever brought it does have with them. So that might improve the game for me, but unfortunately, just not meaty enough choices. Yeah.
Fair enough. Number 47. And now it's my turn.
Yeah.
It is the What Not Cabinet. It is a combo making puzzle tile placement game where you are trying to gain points by having objects or colors in certain rows and columns. And you draw them from the middle of the board. And I kind of enjoy it. It's very relaxing and fulfilling. But you probably have some reasons why you don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too simple. I think each game you're going to play of this is going to be approximately the same thing you're trying to accomplish.
True.
Like the different goals aren't actually different. Like the colors are just different. And there's always an optimal way of scoring.
Yeah.
So I think it just gets very sameish. And also, I was very into the theme of this, and I think it's just small tiles with colors and the same kind of
The
tokens.
theme is not really important.
No, but for me, I like collecting curios and trinkets.
Yeah,
so I was into
in
the
that way.
idea of it, and I saw Tom Vassell gave it a seal of excellence. So I was hooked on it, but it's just massive disappointment for me, or a disappointment.
Let's go with that. Number 46
is a Dinosaur World.
Haven't played it.
Yeah, so again, played this at the local board game club. This is the follow-up to Dinosaur Island, which I haven't played, but I hear this is very similar, with apparently some improvements. So there you go. It is a worker placement, actually Euro-type game with the dinosaur theme pasted on, which speaks into my negative. Like the dinosaurs in this game are herbivores or carnivores or ambivores. So there aren't actually any T-Rexes or pterodactyls. There aren't specific dinosaurs, and that's what I want out of a dinosaur game.
True.
It's too abstract for me, is what I'm trying to get at. And I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay. Number 45.
45 is a Fairy Tale Inn. It is a 2-player only. What's it called? 4 in a row kind of game. What's it called in English? I don't know. But you're placing Connect 4. Connect 4. Yeah. So it's a twist on Connect 4 by Paulo Mori and some other guy whose name I can't recall.
Sorry.
And the twist is that each token you're placing in has a way of scoring, like a unique way of scoring. And you're selecting some for the certain game you're playing.
But the thing about this game is that you have too few options. It might be cooler if there were more characters, but it's a bit samey and it's a bit difficult to achieve anything. And what feels good in a game is that you feel like you accomplished something, and it's more like, I didn't get that either. And I do not like that feeling in a game. Number 44?
Just want to say I agree completely. This game had so much potential, even though I have it high on the view. I think there should be 3 times the amount of characters at least. I think there's just not enough content in Fairy Tale Inn. 44 is Rest in Peace. Another 2-player only game. A battle line type of game where you're competing over locations in the middle. And the twist of the game is you can try to win the location, or at any point you can give up and retreat, and then you give that special location's ability. And there are a lot of special abilities with this. So I love,
and they're really cool. The abilities.
So I love the variability and I love the concept.
But the thing is that it was never really a tug of war between us. It was you ended it before the end game, which was supposed to have a big ending, and we just didn't make it to that, because if you have won some of the others, you could just leave another behind and gain more power to your hand. And so it's unbalanced, so to say.
The arc doesn't function well in this
No,
game.
it
It doesn't live up to its premise, unfortunately. I do agree with that. Number 43 is Bitogu. A very charming game, very much a Euro game with the theme again just pasted on, like with Bitogu, spirits, yokai, that sort of Japanese spiritual mystical thing. And it has a lot of different, I won't even try to explain it, I'll just mention some of the mechanics, like it has a bit of deck building, bit of worker dice placement, ancient building, a lot of different things.
Yeah, but in some way there's too much going on, and it's a bit difficult to keep a hang of it. And the rules are explained very into the universe. Some find that to be a plus, but for us it just made it very difficult to get going with the game, because we didn't understand the rules and we had to understand it with all these Japanese phrases. And as Danes, that is difficult.
I agree. To mention what I do like about the game, it does seem like there's some things to figure out. Like it has that Euro puzzle aspect to it, and I do want to play it more. So that's why I maybe like it a bit more than you, but I do agree with your negatives.
I'm left a little bit with a feeling, with like, next time I will do it better and I will do it like this. So that is a plus, but it was just too messy. 42. This is Doodle Dash. It is a drawing and guessing game. So the group is drawing and one person is looking away, and the group is drawing the same thing. But the person who draws it the quickest gets to show the drawing first to the guesser. So thereby they have to guess. So it's a fun twist on a classic drawing game. And it gets some laughs, and the fact that you're trying to draw so quickly, sometimes your drawings suck, but you were first. So when do I go for the go for it? Yeah.
My students love this game, and so my enjoyment of this game mostly comes from their enjoyment. I think it's a cool twist on the genre. I want to have it in my collection, and it's gonna stay there for a long time, I think, because of what it offers. But I'm not that into drawing games. I do think the point system isn't that good. I don't think there's a good catch-up mechanism. Usually that isn't a worry with party games, but in this one, I feel like the point system is sort of integral to how it works, because it's a speed game, so you want to be speedy because of the points. And if you take out the points aspect, you don't want to be speedy. So that's why I think the points aspect here does draw it down for me.
Okay, fair enough.
41?
41 is Canvas. This is a set collection and card layering game where you are painting this beautiful canvas over animals and houses and trees and landscapes. That was a word I was missing. Yeah. And again, it's very fulfilling, and you're just doing your own thing, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, very cool theme, cool twist with the card layering. But I think that's where the positive stuff for me. I think that it's a very much a gateway, a family game. But I think it's just for me, it's just very simple. I don't think there are any interesting choices. I think it's very obvious what types of symbols you should be gathering to get the most points. So I don't really think there are any that interesting choices. The most interesting choices is there's the century mechanic of how much are you willing to pay to get the card that you want, if you can even pay that much. And that's sort of the only choice there is, and it's not that difficult of a choice most of the time. So
Fair
it's
enough.
just okay for me.
Number 40.
Number 40 is Clash of Decks, another 2-player only game, a card dueling game where the twist is you start with, each player starts with 9 cards in their hand, including 1 card that represents their life. If that card ever reaches the end of your hand, and you like in Bonanza, you have to the order has to stay the same. If that card ever reaches the end twice, you've lost the game. And also the amount of cards dictate how much mana you have. So that's the core mechanism of the game, and
it's a cool mechanism.
Yeah.
But I do not like it because the catch-up mechanism is also not functioning very well. And it's like when you have built an army, it's difficult for the other one to break food because you are just killed every time you put something down, and you only have a certain amount of mana to spend, and the other person have had mana accumulated over several turns in value on the board. I do not like that about it.
I somewhat disagree. So agree to disagree, because I think the catch-up mechanism is that if you lose your cards, you have more cards, so therefore you have more mana.
It exists, but it doesn't work.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's move on. Number 39 is Snakes. It is a quiz, but it's also a social deduction game where you are asked questions that you do not know the answer to, but one of you is a traitor or a snake, probably.
Depending on the numbers, maybe more of you even.
One or more of you are snakes. And trying to get the person who has to guess, or the group, to answer the wrong thing.
Right. So it's a social deduction game mixed with trivia, and that's the concept is cool, and that's why it will stay in my collection or our collection. But I think 1, it doesn't work with less than 5 players, and 2, the game falls flat when someone just knows the answer, which isn't every time, but a lot of the time people will just have a very qualified guess. And 3rd, even if they don't, if you're just you can just do this, don't listen to anyone, and just make up your mind, and then there's no point to the game.
True.
So it doesn't work in practice for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Number 38.
Biotopia. Which interestingly, we both have ranked higher than this ranking, but because maths, it ended up lower than each of our individual ranking. So we like it more than where it is. Anyways, this is from a Danish designer, by the way. It's a card game, a set collection race game. Like you're trying to get, I think it's 15 points, and then the game ends, and whoever has the most points wins. And you're collecting butterflies, and they have each their own special ability, and there are some cards that says with objectives you're trying to reach. And so it's kind of trying to find the synergies and playing your cards well, which I think is cool, and I very much like the theme and artwork in this.
Yes. What I do not like about this game is that there are too few objectives to reach. That could be much more interesting if you didn't know what you were working towards before you begin the game. And somehow it felt like very point and clicky, because you wanted to achieve these things, and here are these butterflies, and this is what you can do. There were never many interesting decisions.
True. The game could stand to have more variability. And I know there is a second edition released in Danish. Hopefully there will be in English, and there's an expansion on the way. So I think with that, it will be higher for me as well, but I do agree with your negatives.
And the second time around we played it, I liked it much more. So maybe it's something where you have to get into it a little bit for it to work really well.
Yeah.
Next, number 37.
Imperium Classics, which is a heavy weight deck building game with a historical theme. So maybe I'm playing the Romans and Catherine's playing the Macedonians. And we each have our own unique starter decks, but then there's cards out on the table, like a usual deck builder. And you can sort of make your own strategy and deck. Very much love the theme. I think it feels very satisfying to play. And I think the way you score points is very interesting and rewarding in this one.
What I do not like about this game, firstly, the artwork on the box. I have actually said that it cannot be with a certain side out on our board game wall because it freaks me out. Secondly, it's supposed to be a very heavy game, but I feel like when you have this certain what do you call it? If I'm the Macedonians, there's a one clear thing that I want to do every time. It's not like I have so many interesting decisions, and it doesn't feel that heavy to me. Yeah, there are a lot of things to do, but it's very much do this to achieve this. So if I have to pick a heavy game, it's not this one. And
I guess what you're saying is, considering how heavy it is not rewarding enough.
Yeah. You can say that.
We've played 4 of the civilizations between us, and they were all the simple level 1 civilizations. Yes. So I think that might be it, but I do agree somewhat with your criticism. I do hope to play the others and maybe find more interesting decisions in the game, but I do agree it's somewhat linear. Yeah. All right, number 36 is Roll Camera, the filmmaking board game, which I definitely which I like a lot more than Catherine.
I do not like this game.
Oh, you should feel bad.
No.
All right. I mean, almost divorce grounds. All right. So
then I'll get a dog. Okay.
Try playing board games with a dog. All right. Maybe they'll do better than me. Okay. So Roll Camera. Roll Camera is a obviously movie-themed cooperative game, a dice placement / worker placement game. With also some card play, and you're like building your set. You're trying to fulfill a certain script to either make your movie a smash box office hit or so bad that it's good cult movie hit. And I like almost everything about it.
Well, yeah, you are kind of a film major in some way. That may be too much, but so you're interested in the subject, and it's not like I'm not into movie making. Here I am making a movie kind of thing. But I felt it was kind of true to the universe, but I was bored. I did not like playing the game. I felt like we had to do the same thing every single time. Not fun. Good humor, fun inputs from the side, but what you had to do to win was just repeat the same action again and again and again and again. I did not like that. And let's move on now.
No.
We have talked too long about this. You cannot defend it. It's a shitty game. We're moving on.
No!
Too late.
All right, 35. Burgle Bros 2, The Casino Capers. The sequel to the original Burgle Bros. This is a cooperative action point spending game in the vein of Pandemic, but here you're trying to rob a casino. And it has a campaign-based element where you can play through, I think it's 10 different missions that sort of mix up the core game, or you can just play the core games. And again, like in Pandemic, you have different characters with different abilities, different locations with different abilities or like ways to impact the gameplay, which I think is super cool.
To be honest, it's a bit since we played this, so my critique might not be fair, but what I can say is I remember playing it, and I remember not wanting to pick that to play again at any point.
And number 34.
This is Gladius. This is a betting style game with a twist of Take That. So you have all these gladiators lined up, and you and the group you're playing with are trying to bet which gladiator is going to win the battle. And then you have some special abilities on your hand that you can place face down or face up to enhance the gladiator's chances of winning or to reduce the gladiator's chances of winning. And it kind of makes a fun deduction game as, oh, are you trying to build this up, or are you betting on this? And it creates some fun tension.
So we're about reaching the point where I like most of the game, so I don't have big negatives to say about this. I think just because it is a Take That kind of game, it's not my favorite genre. I do enjoy it, but it's just not one of my favorite genres, I think, mostly.
Fair enough.
And 33 is a Sobek 2 players, which
Haven't played it.
Yeah, so only I've played this one. I've only played it online on Board Game Arena. It is a 2-player only game, a re-implementation of Sobek. It feels very much like a mix between Jaipur and I think King Domino to me. It's like a set collection type game, point gathering game, where you're placing out, like you're moving around the same like token or meeple or whatever, to grab some stuff, and where you end up dictates how it can be moved by the other player on their next turn. So you're constantly having that head game with the other player. And also you can pick up different characters that have special abilities, and I love every game with special abilities.
Is there something you dislike about it?
I think it just feels like it feels very good, but not great.
Okay.
So it's sort of somewhere along the lines with Jaipur with me. Maybe Jaipur is a bit higher for me because it stood the test of time for me. But I want to play it more, and maybe I want to play it physical, and I also want to play it with you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Number 32 is The Adventures of Robin Hood. This is a campaign storytelling co-op game, very family friendly. I hope to play this with our daughter at some point in the far future, because she's 6 months old. But it's kind of fun, and you are in the Robin Hood universe, and you are moving around the Sherwood Forest, isn't that what it's called? And the castle, and you're trying to complete missions and ask for help and move around in the shadows and not be catched. And it's a board where you are physically picking up tiles that is stuck to the board like an
advent calendar.
Yeah, like an advent calendar, and you're flipping them or removing them so the board changes all the time. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think this is a concept heavy game. I like the concept of it, the idea of it. I think in practice, I like it somewhat. I'm invested enough to complete the adventure. We played, I think, 4 missions. I think there are 8 or something. But it is a Robin Hood themed game, which is sort of what drags it down for me, because you're following a story. It's mostly a story game. There's not heavy strategic choices in the game, and so the story is one that you know. Yeah. So when the main like selling point of game is its story, and you already sort of know the stories of Sherwood Forest, it's meh.
If you like the Robin Hood story, you would like this game. If you do not, you will not.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to number 31. This is Seven Wonders Architects. This is a drafting game where you are building individual wonders between you guys. And it has different abilities and different scoring systems. And you are battling with the players sitting next to you and not all of them, and trying to reach the top of your wonder first. I really do like this one. It's quick pace, it's card drafting, and you are getting these abilities and you have some choices, and I feel like it is expanding on the original Seven Wonders game in a way that I enjoy.
Yeah, this is definitely the gateway version of Seven Wonders, which I don't think is a gateway game. We tried introducing to our friends and they didn't get it at all. So this is a gateway family game.
It is.
For sure. Again, why this doesn't score so high for me is that I like it. I think it's decent, but I think it's very simple. A lot of the time, like 8 out of 10 times, everyone in the position that I'm in the game would make the same choice that I'm making, because you have 3 different choices on each turn. You have 3 choices.
True, but
pick left, right, or in the middle.
On knowledge or war or gaining materials, I feel like there are different strategies that you could go with.
Somewhat.
But your critique is fair. Let's move on. Oh, bless you.
All right.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Number 30. This is a little wordy. It rhymes. Oh, and that is also an ability in the game. It's a word puzzle with 2 players only. So you are sitting opposite your opponent and you draw some tiles with consonants and I forgot that word.
Make sure to be close to the mic.
Consonants and the red letters. Vowels. You draw consonants and vowels, and you have to create the most difficult word you can. And then there is some special abilities that you can pay for to try and guess the other person's word. And we still have an insider joke with this because Michael spelled bacon, which was my word, but pronounced it bason and never guessed it right.
It was like, this basong? That's not a word. That can't be it.
That's so funny. So there are funny moments.
And for that reason alone, I have it ranked lower than Catherine. No, not really. I think there's some imbalances in the abilities that you're using. And I think, for me, generally, skill-based games don't rank as high as other games. So this is a game, if you're not good with words, like making up words, you're gonna lag behind.
But you're better with words than I am, and I win more than you do.
Yeah, so that is a positive, that you can get around it, but you're still good with words. If I'm playing against like younger people or just some people that aren't good with words, dyslexic people, like they're gonna have a disadvantage.
This is not a game for dyslexic people.
Yeah, so a game where it's all about being good with math or something, which I guess you could say for yours, but this is sort of different. This genre does generally rank lower for me. So that's a me thing. So if you like word games, I think this is worth giving a shot.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Next one, 29. This is you.
Yes, this is Radlands. This was in my top 10 last time. And as you can see, Catherine has massively tanked the game.
I have. But it has also fallen on yours, hasn't it?
It has, because you don't like it.
Oh.
That does impact my rating and how much I get to play it. So Radlands is a 2-player dueling card game with amazing components, at least my deluxe version of it. But it's a game where each turn you have a certain amount of water that you're using to spend on cards. You have it's all about destroying the opponent's bases, and there's this big deck of bases. So each game is going to be different because they each have special abilities. Is the thing. And I just love like the cadence to this game, like and I love the apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, punk post-apocalyptic theme.
You get what he's saying,
yes,
right?
You get what I'm saying.
I do not like this game, and it's a lot like it's a me thing because I'm just not into those head-to-head games where you are trying to eliminate the other player. That's not my thing. But my biggest critique of this game is that you're building up to something that is destroyed almost immediately. It's very rare that you actually get to use the powers of the people you are playing. Punks are people too, though. So if you know, you know. It's just not my kind of game, and I feel like you're building something that's not working, and that's it. Let's move on.
28 is Savannah Park. Savannah Park is very reminiscent to Tiny Towns, if you played that. In the game, each player has a board. On your turn, you place you have a lot of animals on the board, and they're all shuffled around randomly. So each player has the different starting points. Then on your turn, the first player takes an animal and moves it to another place on the board, and everyone else also has to move that animal.
Yeah, or that group of animals, because it can be the 3 giraffes, or it can be the 1 giraffe.
Yeah. And there's some scoring to how you group the animals together, and they have to be around watering holes to earn more points, yada yada yada. But the essence of the game is that other people's choices force you to make a choice with that same animal,
and
that's
sometimes
fun.
you get very disappointed, and that's fun. I completely agree. I do like this game, but I feel like there's one strategy that is very much overruling if you want to win. So if everybody is playing that strategy, okay, you have an interesting game, but I feel like there's one strategy and one strategy only that can bring you the win, and I do not like that. I like when you can go different routes and have a equal game.
I somewhat agree with that.
Let's move on.
You'll have to add Catherine to get that dominant strategy tip. Number 27 is Mantis Falls, which is a 2 to 3 player social deduction game. So that's the unique. A social deduction game at that player count. It's a card-based game, and like semi-cooperative, because maybe we're both good guys, but maybe one of us is evil.
You don't know.
You don't know. And you're trying to like move through this 1930s film noir town, sort of, by playing the right cards and overcoming missions.
I kind of, it's too bad that it's so far down, but I just remember that we played this while I was very pregnant, and you completely deceived me, and I was not very hormonal, right?
Yes. Yes.
I was not very hormonal, but I felt so crushed that he betrayed me that we actually haven't played the game since.
We haven't played it since.
So it's just a very, very emotional thing that it's so far down for me, because I honestly felt like I couldn't trust my husband, not even just the player, but like, I don't know who you are. And that kind of vouches for a good game, but I hate it now.
It's a game with high emotions, which, like you say, can be a positive. I think it's unique to have a social deduction game like this, and I think the card play is very interesting.
If you like social deduction, you will love this game, but
Should be in your
don't
collection.
be like 36 months pregnant
when you play it.
No.
All right.
Moving on, number 26. This is Hashi. And I am disappointed that this is so far down. It's very high up on my list. It is a Japanese, it's a puzzle game where you are combining islands that are based on a traditional Japanese puzzle.
Combining them with bridges.
Yeah, with bridges. And you draw some tiles, and you can place a certain amount of bridges, and you have to write a certain number, and that is the number of bridges that you can connect with, as far as I remember. That island, as far as I remember. And kind of Sudoku vibes, if you like that.
For sure.
I find it very meditative and fun, and I'm so much better at it than Michael, and I enjoy that as well. So it's a good game if you like those kind of mind expansion puzzles.
I think it's a decent game. I think it's a game that I would say I appreciate.
Yeah.
And I'd like to keep it in my collection.
Thank you.
But I think it gets sort of samey. There's not a lot of variability to this. And for some games, that element shines, but I'm not sure it completely shines here. I think, like, again, a dominant strategy, like, it plays out differently for the players that are playing it, but I can't really pursue different strategies other than I want to optimize how I
True.
put my numbers.
But a lot of those minded, like I feel like it would work just as well if it's one player, like Sudoku or
sure.
crossword puzzles. It's kind of that feeling.
Yeah.
So maybe as a head-to-head game, it doesn't work very well. But if you like it for the challenge of your mind and optimizing, it's good.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, I can see we have to speed up. Number 25 is Stella Dixit Universe.
Stella Dixit Universe is it's a party game with push your luck and kind of like a deduction. So you have all these beautiful pictures from the Dixit Universe, and then you get a keyword like Copenhagen, for example, and then you have to cross off on your own board what pictures you feel have some kind of connection to Copenhagen, but also guess what other people have that connection. And I like how you bond socially in this game.
Yeah, I think this is a good game. I think I'm not sure. I can't find it quickly here in the papers. I think we have it ranked probably somewhat, same-ish. I just think it's a good game. Like this is a game. If I'm playing with family, I'd like to play it. But I wouldn't be excited to bring it out because again, it's the same game flow. I like it. I just don't love it.
Number 24 is so clever. This is a word puzzle guessing game in co-op mode, and it bears resemblance to Codenames. So at the same time, every person is creating this word puzzle where the clover leaves are already placed, I think. And then you have to make one word that combines the two words that are pointing into it. And then you take turns guessing each other's puzzle. And it's so fun to guess other people's train of thoughts because sometimes it's way, way out there. And sometimes, just sometimes, it works.
It does. I think this is a good game. We've only played it on one occasion. I just think I need to play it more to maybe deepen my appreciation of it. But I do very much like the game.
Yeah. Number 23 is El Mardi. This is also a puzzle tiling game where you're trying to optimize the way your puzzle is placed, because then you can move your puzzle tiles around and activate the bonuses that eventually gives you points. It's really beautiful, and the strategy is easy to get, but very hard to be good at. And I kind of like those kind of games where you feel like next time I will do this and I will do better, and then I'll win. And then you won't because the other person has also become better. But I like that kind of game.
I quite like this game as well. I'm surprised that you have it ranked higher than I do.
Me too.
So I don't have a lot of negative things to say about this. I mean, you can sort of get a bit into analysis paralysis with this game, and I do think it works probably best with just two players. So I think that's a slight negative, that it doesn't work as well with bigger player counts, because I don't think that adds too much to the game. Like, you're mostly playing each your own game. Yeah,
and it's kind of difficult to follow the other person's turn because you can't really see what's going on, and then they're moving around and you're trying to work out what your next move should be. So it's very much your own in a not so positive way.
Yeah.
Moving on, 22.
22 is Floriferous. Floriferous is by the same people who made the Whatnot Cabinet, and I think this is just a better version, sort of that game. It's very much a set collection type of game. In King Domino sort of style, you're going through cards and just simply picking a card, which will score you points in a certain way, also depending on which points scoring cards you have taken. So you're taking and it's a flower themed game, which I also love. It looks stunning.
So in a kind of way, you don't have the same win conditions.
Yeah, like it's very simple gameplay, but you're building up your own way of getting points, which I very much like.
I do also like this game, but I feel it gets your critique have sometimes been it's a bit too simple, and it's not like the strategy is simple, but it's like I have 2 choices or 3 choices every time it's my turn, and then of course I can think ahead, but how much ahead, because it depends on where the other person places them the next time. In that way, I think it lacks something.
It is a bit simple, but I find it meditative.
True.
Meditative. Number 21 is Shamans, which is a social deduction trick-taking game. I think I have social deduction games generally ranked higher than you, except for Snakes. But Shamans, trick-taking. One or more people are like evil, trying to win in a certain way by getting the pointer down by playing cards that are out of suit. And everyone, even the good guys, can play out of suit, and you might want to do that for strategic reasons, which I won't get into the details of that, but that's what makes it a very interesting game to me, with quick, fast-paced rounds. Like it a lot.
I do really enjoy this game. I'm quite surprised that this is higher for you than it is for me. I would rather talk about the positives. What I think is, this is a social deduction game some kind of way, but I feel like it's very easy to spot who the evil person is, but you don't really gain anything other from it than you can steal or switch roles with the evil person, and that's kind of fun. But the social deduction part is not very difficult, or we are just not very good at it. And I do not think that is true. Sure. Moving on.
Yeah.
Number 20 is Botanic. I really like this game. When we first played it, I was tired at night, and Michael was like, can I please teach you, with this voice, can I please teach you this new game, please, honey? It's very easy. I was like, okay, I will learn it. Yeah. And then I was just like, again. And every time he's like, do you want to play? And they're like, yeah, do you want to play Botanic? Okay, so you are making a path kind of way out of flowers and I don't know,
engines or something, cogs,
engines, cogs, plumbing, sewer things, moving around trying to gain the most points, kind of puzzle, like love puzzle things, usually not with a sewer theme, but it's funny and it's meditative and it's fulfilling, and every time we have finished the game we are both sitting like, okay, I think I'm gonna win this one, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah, and there's a great interaction in this game with the mechanics, sort of how you can take tiles in the middle. I think what lacks in this game for me is the theme and the graphics. I don't like at all, and I'm not that crazy about path connecting games like Ticket to Ride, like just making paths. Even though I can see the what people like about it, it just sort of falls short for me in general. I like the game, just not as much as Catherine.
Fair enough. Moving on, number 19, Furnace. I thought I would hate this game, but I love it. This is an engine builder in its most literal form, because you are actually building engines that are engine builders. Yeah, it is in its most literal form.
Words.
And very important aspect of it is also that it is an auction game. And I've never, usually I do like engine builders, but this just felt extremely fulfilling. I'm like, I'm making gold, I'm making this, and I'm making that, and I'm winning this. And even when you lose the auction, you gain something, which is a plus, because sometimes you just lose. But you gain something every time, and I really like that.
Yes, like this game a lot as well. My only negative is I far prefer the auction or the bidding portion of the game. I think the engine building can sort of lead into analysis paralysis, and I feel like this should be a filler type of game, like a meaty filler. And sometimes I just feel it takes a bit too long for it to fit into that category that I sort of want it to fit into.
Yeah.
Number 18 is sadly Kemet Blood and Sand.
I don't get how this is so high.
This is my second favorite game from 2021, and Catherine hates this game apparently. So Kemet is a war game with an Egyptian mythology theme, where each player starts very symmetrically, but then as you play throughout the game, you can buy power tiles, which will change how you can play compared to the other players. And so it develops into a very asymmetric affair, and I just love that. Love it.
That is fair enough. Hate is a strong word, but it's just really not my kind of game. I'm not into war games, and I did not enjoy the artwork. I did not enjoy the little figurines. I felt like it was a very big setup for something very simple. And it was kind of hard to get the overview of the card. Even though you have a tiny little menu, you have this board with the tiles that looks pretty and you want to look at, but that's not really well functioning, so you have to look at this menu that makes it a bit boring. So that just doesn't really work for me. But it is a good game, it's just not a game for me.
Fair enough. Very much agree to disagree on the menu portion, but fair enough. Number 17.
Number 17 is Living Forest. We've only played this a couple of times and only online, but I feel like it works well online because there's a lot of moving around with things that works much quicker online. It is a push your luck deck builder where you are trying to get animals into your deck, and they have different abilities, and some of them have night abilities that also make you lose. So that's where you push your luck, because you can only have so many night animals, and you have different strategies to moving around, and it's just pretty and fulfilling. And I feel like there's a lot of different strategies to go with where you can be successful. And if one person is going with one strategy, you have to sabotage that player. You can't just go all in on one strategy.
Yeah. I quite like this game. This is one of the games I want to play more the most, to explore it more. It has 3 different ways of winning. I think my only negative is that in all the games we played, only one of the ways have been the way that the winning player won. So I hear that changes with experience, but that still sort of impacts the way I feel about the game. But still like it a lot. Number 16
is The Initiative. We played this recently and we played through the entire campaign. It's co-op and code cracking, and I love code cracking, and I'm very good at it also.
If I do say so myself.
I am very modest.
I have to say this. I'm legally obliged.
And you are going through a cartoon book, and getting the story and the pictures and the suspicions that the kids who are playing the game in the cartoon are going through, and it's just really fun. And you're solving missions and cracking codes, and I was just very invested in the story and the code cracking and the everything.
Yeah. My only negative to this game is that I didn't feel it was that difficult. It wasn't challenging enough. We played through the entire campaign. We only lost one of the missions, and that is because we absolutely sucked at unscrambling a word for which we had all the letters. We just couldn't get it.
And it was not a difficult
It was
word.
A very simple word.
Okay, so that was another thing that we talked about, and I know you were supposed to say the bad things,
Yeah.
but the ending was a bit anticlimactic. It was supposed to get more difficult, but it didn't really get more difficult.
Yeah.
And that was...
I agree.
Number 15 is Land versus Sea.
No, this is 14. Because we have a tie for 14.
Ooh,
yeah.
True. I was confused with math. We have a tie.
Yeah.
A total tie for number 14. But
total tie.
Total One of them is Land versus Sea. This is tiling, and it's very cutthroat. It bears resemblance to Carcassonne. We have only played it 2 people, and you're supposed to be able to play it 3 people. But
you can, yeah.
Yeah. We have read about the function of the third player, and we do not think it will work well. But we enjoy it. I especially enjoy it in 2-player, where you're trying to close your own puzzle while opening the other ones and sabotaging it, and has some add-ons to make it more difficult that works really well. I really, really enjoy this game.
Yeah. I mean, I have it ranked highly as well. It is a more cutthroat version of Carcassonne. And I think the level of cutthroatness to it is what drags it down just a tiny smidge for me. Just a smidge. This is one of the few games... Oh, well, I was going to continue that sentence was where I have always lost to Catherine. But what I mean is, it's one of the games where I sort of mind it, because I feel like her superior skill level is very, very much dictates her ability to win it. because of her ability to see the puzzle. I know it feels weird, but it's a very difficult game for me to play. It feels difficult, so I guess that's what it is. When I play it, it feels difficult for me to grasp it.
Difficult in a way that you cannot change very much.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel that good for me to try to grasp it. It feels challenging.
Like having a race against Usain Bolt.
Yeah. And the other title that is 14th is Adventure Tactics Domian's Tower, which is a cooperative scenario-based boss battler. And you're moving through this adventure book, sort of choose your own adventure, playing against bosses, and whether you win or lose the encounter, you get to level up your character. So maybe I start the game as a wizard, and later on I add some fighter cards to my deck, and then from that I can become a paladin or something.
Or a necromancer.
Or a necromancer, or a gladiator, champion.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. You were a necromancer, that's right. And anyways, that customization mostly is what I really enjoy about this game. I think it's fantastic.
If I should say something I dislike about it, it has been a year since we played it, so it's been quite a while.
Us two, yeah.
Us two, the two of us, since I played it also. What I dislike is that you're supposed to lose sometimes, and we didn't quite figure that out until later in the game, so we ended up having a lot of...
We replayed the scenarios, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to just move on even if you lose. Yeah.
Even if you lose, and then you gain something, and that kind of sucked to lose and lose and lose. There's some perfect margin of how often you have to win, and we didn't quite achieve that. So if we played it again, we would know better, and maybe I would like it even more.
Spoiler alert, it's much better if you play it right.
Surprise.
Right. 13th is The Crew Mission Deep Sea, which is a trick-taking game, a cooperative trick-taking game, where each person has their own little goals they're trying to achieve, and you achieve those by playing tricks in the optimal way.
Well, the entire group is trying to achieve those goals, but it's one person who has to do something specific.
Yeah, exactly. And the goals are split out amongst the players. And it's just a very satisfying game to play, very simple, but yet challenging for the mind. I really love this. And you can play this with family, gamers, anyone.
To be honest, I really like this game also, but it fries my brain. So after half an hour, my brain is just not working to comprehend how to get the tricks we're supposed to get anymore. And then it stops being fun because it's always my fault that we lose. So that's why I rated it lower, but it is a quality game.
Quality game.
It is a quality game.
Number 12
is Welcome to the Moon. It is a campaign based on the original game Welcome to, and it's a flip and ride where you're going through different scenarios in space or trying to get to space and have a civilization on the moon. And it's just a lot of different takes inspired by other games, I guess, on flip and ride and how to make these streets from the original with rows of numbers, consecutive numbers.
Yeah. I loved Welcome to. I quite like Welcome to the Moon as well. But for me, what brings this down slightly, and just slightly, is that the campaign thing felt like work.
Yeah.
And the rules were sometimes explained thematically, which is always a minus for me. So for flip and ride, where it's supposed to be a quick, easy game, having to always relearn the game kind of sucked out some of the fun for me, just some of the fun. But now we know all the maps, and that might change the enjoyment for us.
I completely agree with that. It's supposed to be fun all the way through, but first time it is a lot of work. But the different sheets, different campaign levels are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Number 11 is Canopy, which is an awesome nature-themed game. So
I like that.
That's a reason that Catherine will like it.
With animals.
And a mechanic called Winston drafting. So there are 3 piles. It's a set collection game, basically. You're just trying to get points by collecting sets in the best way possible. The first set of cards, there's just 1, and then there's 2, and then there's 3 cards in the beginning. You look at the first card, decide, do you want it or not? If not, you put it back down, add another card to it, and rinse, repeat. So you're sort of pushing luck, trying to see, do I think I can get something better later on?
And that is some of the mechanics in it that you really like.
I love that mechanic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy this game. Also, we are very high up by now. The thing that I dislike is that what I really like is the special abilities that the animals have, and there's too few of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind more, but I like what there is.
Me too. But that is the thing that drives me to play the game, and I just lack something in that department. There's too much fluff on the outside for what I think is the most fun part. But still a very good game.
Number 10 is Rift Force. Rift Force is a head-to-head, 2-player only card dueling game where you start the game by drafting your factions. So like you start with cards from, I think it's 4 different factions or 3 different factions. And it's a sort of a take on Shot and Totten or Battle Line type games where you're battling over locations in the middle. And there's some rules to how you can play down the cards. And the cards have different colors and different abilities. So it's not just about the numbers, it's about the faction. And it's very simple, but finding the synergies and surprising your opponent and learning how the cards play versus each other is just very enjoyable for me.
This is an awesome game. I liked it a lot as well. You didn't quite know where I would place it because I like to be mysterious.
Pleasantly surprised.
The thing, if I should say anything, is that some of the cards I feel like go better with each other than others. So sometimes you end up in a position where your cards don't get along as well, if you can say as such, as the opponents, and then it's kind of difficult, or you have a more difficult game in front of you. But it is nitty-gritty by now, and I think you could work your way through it, but you can be set up for success more or less.
We also found out we didn't have that many comeback victories.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyways, number 9.
It is Bullet. I really like this game. It is a speed puzzle with asymmetric powers and pattern making, and is there something I love? It is an all-girls game with patterns and speed and puzzle, and I feel like I get high when I play, like yeah. But it sucks because Michael loses too quickly, so I don't get the full.
No, but it's true. It's funny because it's true.
It's funny.
Or it's sad because it's true.
Okay, you go.
Yeah, so that's the negative. I lose. No, but somewhat really. At first, I liked the game, then I sort of disliked the game, and now I'm back to liking the game. I had to sort of find out whether I like the speed element or not. And I've turned around to liking it, but not loving it. It means there's a barrier to playing it for me. Like there's just a skill ceiling for me. And that sort of sucks. That I feel like, okay, I can get sort of better at this game, but I can't ever get really good. And I don't. That's not the same for many other games.
I just need to add, because we have discussed this game, that I really enjoy this because I'm very good at quick decision making, and you're really good at point optimizing. Yeah. So I actually have kind of advantage when we play speed games. So if we annul that, this game is not as good for me, because it is nice because you have to make quick decisions.
Yeah. No, I wondered if it would be better without the speed limit, and it's not. That's how the game's supposed to be, and it is best that way. And it's still ranked very high for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Number 8 is Kokopelli.
Kokopelli.
Again, pleasantly surprised to see it this high on your list. Kokopelli is a card game. What is it? I mean, it's very simple. It's so simple that I'm having trouble explaining it. And it's from Stefan Feld, who usually makes very complex games. It's like you're playing cards and they have different powers. And when I play a card, maybe my neighbor can't play that card, or neighbors can't play that card. That's sort of the gist of the game. And just trying to get points. And it's very simple, but very enjoyable. Trying to block your opponents, and it's thinky, but in a simple way. I really like it.
I know I'm supposed to say something I dislike, but I just need to add that I really like that it is cutthroat and you are blocking the other person, but it's kind of lighthearted. So like, oh, I'm blocking you now, and it's just kind of light-heart cutthroat.
Yeah.
Which is rare. I don't really have much negative to say about it, to be honest. There is just other games I enjoy more.
Yeah.
That's
Guess
it.
one tiny thing to add, I guess, because that's sort of the unique thing about the game is as you're playing the cards, at some point, when you score the cards, you remove them. So you lose the ability as you score. So that's sort of the fun thing to the game. Number 7
is Meadow. And I'm very pleased to see it this high because in our last top list, Michael trashed this game, but he has come around. Yes, that is the truth that I'm going to tell.
Exaggerating.
Yes, I know. But you didn't like it as much.
I was mellow on Meadow.
You mellow on Meadow, yeah. It is a set collection game and the artwork is beautiful and I like the dynamics. It's a interesting kind of card draft, would you call it that, where you take the cards from the middle and find out, and there's all kind of different meadow area where you gain special abilities and finding that balance and which icons to block and which icons to keep based on how you want to play your game further. I just have like a meditative and fulfilling experience playing this, while also having a little bit of a hint of trying to sabotage my lovely partner.
Yeah. Well, I think that was about 1 minute, but I think that covers it. I don't have anything negative to add. So it's a very good game. It's definitely grown on me. Number 6.
Cascadia. Again, a game that some of us, mostly you, is surprised to see this high, but I really, really, really love this game. So there's animals, there is puzzle, it's tile laying, nothing not to love. Boom.
Yeah. This again has it's grown on me. I liked it to begin with, and I was surprised when we did a top 10 that you liked it more than me. That was a huge surprise.
I really like this game.
This is a more forgiving version of Calico, less thingy, but as rewarding, and a lot of variable scoring, like different ways to score with the animals each game. Easy, simple, fun. I like it a lot. Yeah. And number 5.
This is Ark Nova. This has fallen on our list since last time. We still really like it. It's number 5 in our top 50.
I don't think it fell from you.
It fell for me.
Yeah.
I rated it very highly due to its potential, but it has dropped a little bit because I have seen some faults, but that will be Michael's business. I still rated it very highly because it's just a very well balanced game. The game is a lot of things, so it's kind of hard to describe accurately in a very short amount of time, but it's tableau building, worker placement, tile laying. It's sort of similar to Terraforming Mars, but better.
Yeah. So you think? And I think so. I think as well. The negative to Ark Nova is that it has more rules than Terraforming Mars. It's a game that's more difficult to return to without needing to remember small, tiny rules, as opposed to Terraforming Mars, where I think it's hard to get rules wrong once you've learned it and gotten it on your skin. So that's really my only slight negative. I think we had to play it 4 times before we played it without making any mistakes.
Yeah. And I think we actually made mistakes, but we caught them.
Yeah. So, number 4.
Number 4, this is Destinies. We both love this game majorly. It's app-driven storytelling exploration game with hidden win conditions, and you're going through this medieval village area and talking to people and reading secret notes and trying to achieve these destinies, and it's just thrilling, and you're like, oh my god, I'm this. Oh no, that sounded sexual. I can't say that without.
Anyway, whereas you like any game that has animals in it, I like almost any game that has secrets in it. And it's ranked highly for me because that aspect of not knowing what you were trying to do, and when I found out something and you didn't quite know what I was doing, that excitement was so cool. So the slight negative I would mention is that has diminishing returns. So playing it for the second time, third time doesn't feel as special as that first time.
True.
But it's still solid, and I want to keep playing it, and we'll get the expansions. Yeah. Number 3 is Mind Management, a hidden movement game in the vein of Scotland Yard, Fear of Dracula, where one person is trying to hide and complete their objectives, and the other person or players, you can play as a team or just 1 versus 1, is trying to find out where they are. And it has a lot of humor, a very cool theme, and it has a system of if I lose as the person's trying to get away, then after that loss, I get like a thing to help me get better. I get an ability. And
little envelopes with more content and secret abilities.
And I love envelopes with new content. So I love this game.
Actually, my dislike about this game is your pro. This is also a pro for me, that you get new content, but the thing is that we like to switch it up, and we like to play different roles, and like to try it with multiple players. So we haven't still actually tried, have we?
I think we've only tried one package.
Yeah. Even though we have played it quite a few times, we've only tried one new package, and you want to play the package that you earned, but is it balanced then? So that can be a bit confusing, because it's only part of the game that gets
I guess to enjoy it fully, it's not completely made for switching places, but that's how we sort of prefer to play it. All right. And number 2,
Sleeping Guards. I just don't want to leave it. No. Sleeping Guards is an epic co-op campaign open world game. It's like playing
Zelda,
The Legend of Zelda, as a board game, and I love the artwork, I love the story, I love the clues, I love the exploration, I love the fights, and I love the everything. I honestly want to play this all the time, but now we have a baby, so we don't have all the time, but I think I
have none of the time.
Said to Michael that we need to take a month out of the calendar to have this game out, so we can play this all the time for a month. And
speaking on that, so I have 2 slight negatives. The bigger negative is the setup time. So when we played this, we just left it out on the table until we were finished with it, but that's not feasible for many people, and it's certainly a negative. It requires some space, and it's a bit of a bear to pack out. The other slight negative is that I enjoy Ryan Laukatt's artwork, but as you're experiencing the stories on the islands, the encounters, there's not any artwork there. Like, you see all the places you're sailing around and the characters and the you're battling against and the objects. But I would just like to see more art to fully immerse myself.
Yeah, to see the people that you're meeting at the island and talking to. You just want more.
I just want more.
I want more of the same thing. Please.
And speaking of wanting more, number 1 is Cubitus, which I'm still waiting for an expansion for. Cubitus is
now, please.
Cubitus is a push your luck dice rolling race game and dice building race game. So you're rolling dice, trying not to bust. So you're trying to figure out how far you're willing to go. And you're racing around the track. The dice do different things, and some of them allow you to buy new dice that allow you to do other things. And getting new powers excites me. Racing excites me. The theme excites me. Everything about this excites me.
Same. I don't want to say anything negative, because I also love this game. Also a game I could play all the time. First time we played it, I was like, again, and again.
Even though 6 or 7 times in a row.
Even though I lost, I was like, I want to do this again. It just it feels addictive. It's so fun, and the humor, and it's so cute, and animals, and
So
that was it.
That was 50 board games from 2021. We hope you enjoyed the video. We certainly enjoyed making it and playing these games.
And like, subscribe, and what is it?
All the good stuff. Tell us if you agree or disagree with any of the picks, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Bye.